Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get things going.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, just to start, I must say I'm really, really excited. I'm really, really excited, you know, hosting you today. And as I told you before, this is the first edition of a podcast I'm starting, which is titled Reforming Cameroon podcast. And it's just an initiative I thought about starting because, this year is a crucial year in Cameroon where we have the presidential elections. And a lot of Cameroonians are perplexed. They are tired. They are, disappointed with the system in place. And some people are looking for a vision in which they can buy into, a vision in which they can buy into. So the reason why I really started this program is to find an intersection of new ideas and new initiatives and to see how we can, work with that to enforce policy reforms and reforms at the grassroots level for a renewed and, a prosperous Cameroon. And once I had the idea, the first person that came to my mind was you. I've been following you online. You're impacting people and you don't know. I've been following you online, and I'm really inspired by your words, and especially your book on the Cameroon Dream. I haven't had the opportunity to read, but I've been following, like some highlights and updates about it. And I must remark it's really interesting. So when I reached out to you with this invite and you really accepted, and in fact, I was really joyous about it. So thank you for joining me on this program. And I'm looking for a very, very insightful conversation with you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm elated. It is a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to this conversation, Mr. Destiny.
Okay. So just first before we start, I just want you to, for the audience and as we'll be sharing, just to give a little update about yourself and what you do so we can get to know you better.
Yes. So basically, I'm originally from Cameroon.
Mm.
I've been in the United States for quite some time now. I'm a father. So I'm a father of three children, and I'm married to my amazing wife. Uh, I'm a strategic marketing and business consultant. I hold an MBA with a concentration in finance, uh, which gives me a broad perspective to look at development from an economic standpoint. Uh, yeah, so I think basically that is briefly about me. So my undergrad is in divinity, so I'm also a man of faith. So I believe in God, and I believe in hard work, and I believe in development.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. So I want us to go directly into why we are here today, and I really want us to focus on. We have about 30 minutes more to go. So I really want us to focus more on your book. You know,
Yeah,
the Cameroon Dream, the Cameroon Dream. We know about the American Dream. I know
mhm,
about the American Dream. I know
yeah,
about maybe the Nigerian Dream, and but this your concept. People are saying, what is the Cameroonian Dream? Is it for a prosperous Cameroon, or is it like the American Dream where you have that inspiration to be great or something? I just wanted to walk me down the lane of your book, the Cameroon Dream, and what it is all about, please.
yeah. So this book reads about the Cameroon Dream. They say tough times create tough men, right? uh, when we live in a season where people are comfortable, it produces weak men. And I believe that with what has happened in Cameroon, it has really stirred up a lot in us. And I'm sure there are many Cameroonians like yourself and around the world. They are getting to think differently, not just normally like we used to think and just think life is just cool. But today, we are rising up. So this book, The Cameroon Dream, it's a roadmap, a compass of hope, a compass of direction. That if we get to do things a certain way, we can get certain results, right? So the ballpark is what this If we lay this foundation, then it is possible for us to achieve our dreams. The children coming after us will be able to aspire to have a great life in Cameroon, and not just thinking of, say, I want to travel abroad in order to fulfill my dreams, but Cameroon has that ecosystem where I can be able to do things a certain way and make a life for myself in this country. So the ballpark of this vision was looking at what successful nations have done over time, because we are not the first to be in this predicament. Other nations have. And one of my great mentors, Tony Robbins, said, if you want to be successful, you model three things from them. Now, think the way they walk, the way they act. And then he says, number three, model their syntax. There's a way they talk, there's a way they treat. He said, if you model these three things, you will be successful. And I look at that principle, I'm not like, this so easy. So success is not that hard. If I look for someone, if I have a role model, I'll be able to walk through that tracks and find myself. So it's easy. It's not like I just copy them, but I use that as a compass to find myself. Are you tracking?
Yeah.
So, okay. So I looked at that. I said, that is easy. And then I asked myself the question, which nation on earth is that great that many people desire to go to? And I realized America. And then the question is, what have they done? And then I looked at the industries that are making the most millionaires in America. And I'm like, okay, which industries are making the most millionaires globally? So I was able to find these industries. I said, because right now, about maybe 75% of Cameroonians are below the age of 40. So let me assume that most of us are late right now. What can we do really fast? Like, is that like that kind of a millionaire fast track lane? What can we do really fast to be successful? So this 7 industries that are carefully selected with my team are the industries that are making the most millionaires. So the whole idea is, if Cameroonians can focus on these industries, just like what South Korea did, and because South Korea was one of those nations that we benchmark in the process of researching for this book. So South Korea was able to specialize. They got up and like, okay, we are late, but we have to make something for our people. We have to do something. We cannot do everything. Let's focus on some key industries. And South Korea specialized in those key industries. And within a very short time, I think there was a time we gave aid to South Korea. But today, they are one of the most prosperous nations, I think, with a GDP of approximately 1.6 trillion. And their development was really rapid. Why? Because they focused. So I'm like, okay, so let's have this 7 industry. And then I looked at a nation like China, and then I asked myself the question, they are the fastest growing economy right now in the world, China. I'm like, what did the Chinese people do? The Chinese people were caught up with communism, and they realized that that system was holding them back. They were close to the rest of the world. So under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, I think he visited Texas, where I am right now, and he looked at what the Americans were doing. And he's like, my people can't keep struggling. He came back to China and he made a very powerful statement. He said, it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white, as long as it can catch a mice, he said it is a good cat. So what did China do? China modeled everything that America has achieved. And within a span of 30 plus years, China has moved from a GDP of approximately 390 billion US dollars in the 90s to today, China is approximately 18 trillion dollars. That is massive growth. So the concept is, if we specialize in these 7 key industries, model a nation like America that has achieved the highest standard of human excellence in these industries, we will be able to fast track our progress. And in the next 20 years, my projection is if Cameroonians unite on this perspective, we can be able to move our GDP. I think it's approximately $47 billion as we speak, to $1 trillion in the next 20 years. That
Wow.
is the ballpark of the Cameroon Dream.
Wow, thank you very much. I like the way you go statistical on it. That's really impressive. And you know, from what you have said so far, I kind of understand that for us to restructure Cameroon, it requires a certain model of governance in which we must put in place. So, but I want if looking at the country right now with all what is going on, the economic hardship, you know, the Anglophone crisis and everything that's going on. What do you think? What do you think is the main cause? What do you think is the main problem in Cameroon right now? And according to you, what policy changes can you propose? Let me say, according to your book, that we can address that. What do you think is the main problem in Cameroon right now?
There's a Chinese proverb, Destiny, that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will show up.
That's
When I look at our nation, I would say 80% of the challenges lies with us, the people, and just 20% government. I would love to say 90% us, but let me at least let me make it easy. Let me say 80% lies with us, and just 20% is the government. And this mindset shift, if it does happen, a rapid transformation will start in Cameroon. That if we understand that 80% of the challenge lies with us. I run an organization, CSDP, the Cameroon Sustainable Development Project. That is the organization that I created for this initiative, right? I've been a victim. My father-in-law was kidnapped by the Ambas. It's because of extensive studies that I was able to navigate that situation, and my father-in-law, lucky enough, came out alive because he's a delegate of education. And in spite of everything that we did, they were still attempting to take his life. So it is through a strategic conflict resolution that I was able to step back, get the emotion out of the way, put the entire family together when that happened, and said, no matter what, let's set aside our differences. We are going to have some structure here. Everybody in the family in one WhatsApp group, only one person talks to the Amber fighters, one person that we've selected that we know can represent us. And that is the whole structure of how we're able to manage this conflict. But the thing is, we got that is one of the inspirations. I mean, like the main inspiration for this book, right? Because I looked at how a situation that would have gone sideways, but because of structure, strategy, and unity, we were able to navigate that. So what is my point? The Amber, the young men on the ground, you might look at them and demonize them, but from where they are coming from, if I were in their shoes, I would have acted the same. This is years of history, brainwash, conditioning that most of us have had in our community. I come from Bamenda. You see what I'm saying? And I know what we have been fed our entire life. So to stand up and say 80% of the problem is with us, people are like, but what are you talking about? I know what I'm talking about because now I've looked at models of successful people. Because Destiny, we are a people that have a government. It's not the government that has the people. People create government, not government creating people. So we come together and say, this is a nation that we want to form, or this is a nation, and this is who we want to represent us as president. And we go to the voting booth and cast our vote to say, this is the man, this is the woman we want to lead us. So we have the power. Does that make sense? And that is what Ninja Fru meant when he said power to the people. that you got the power. But today, what I see is people have refused to believe that they have that power. And they think that that government has the power and they don't. So when we get to this place of self-realization, this consciousness that we have the power, change begins. Uh, and if this understanding is well ingrained in us, trust me, in less than 1 year, if we don't like the government, we will change it. In less than 1 year, if we like that government, we will tell them what we want. And if this consciousness is not there, we will keep. It's like that dog that was tied in a chain its entire life, and then the owner took off the chain, and the dog is still turning around the tree because it has been conditioned to think that it is always in a chain. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that is how free we are. And it is that consciousness that I'm bringing to Cameroonians, to us, that we are free. And if we decide, no military, nothing can stop the human will. That as a human being that has said, I want change, this is what I want for my life, nothing will stop them.
Okay.
And then with that, policy reforms will be very rapid. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's quite a new perspective, because like you rightly said, in Cameroon, 90% of the problems we have in the country, let me say 90% of the blame people give on our predicament goes to the government. And people forget that it's because of their own mindset and because of the lack of their own initiative. That's why the government acts the way it's acting. And considering that 2025 is a crucial year for Cameroon, especially with the presidential elections, and you were talking about the will of the people to choose their leaders, I really just want to find your idea, what you think a perfect, should I say perfect, or near perfect candidate, what should people be, who should people be looking to choose to lead them? What kind of idea, what kind of experience should that kind of person carry? What kind of vision should the person sell that people can really buy into?
Yeah. And I mean, that's a beautiful question. Vision is everything. The scripture is quite clear. Without vision, people perish, right? That's a fact. Without a sense of direction, people lose constraint. People do all sorts of things. Now, I've listened to about maybe 2 or 3 presidential candidates and their perspective. Uh, Cameroon needs visionary leaders. Cameroon does not need politicians. There is a difference. A politician is focused on the next election. A visionary leader is focused on the next generation.
Great, awesome.
So we need visionary leaders. Lawrence Miller wrote a book, From Barbarians to Bureaucrats. I think that book also inspired me in the process of my research. Powerful book, right? That book, because he did not market that book properly, so that book was not in the hands of Americans as it was supposed to. So very few people have copies of that book, but that book is a book that can spark a revolution and bring about change, even in America, in a way people have never thought about. But very few people have set hands on that book. So he said it always starts with a prophet. You can call that a visionary. That's the vision of the future. And then he says from there, it moves to the barbarians. When we talk about barbarians, it's not about holding guns and fighting. We're talking about barbarians. We're talking about people that are radical, to step out there and take action. So when there is a vision, a clear vision, and then the next thing is we will have a barbarian that, like, I'm tired of the status quo, right? We want something better. Do we all agree that we want something better? Sure. And that is what the job of a prophet is, to inspire the people with a vision. The barbarians step in now, and they are out there like, we want this change. Maybe they are building, or maybe they are having rallies, maybe they are putting people together and all of that. And then from that stage, he says it moves to the builder explorer. The builder explorer stage is where we get to initiate that change. If it's the policies reform that you talked about, yes, we put that in place. If it's maybe reforming our education system, right? If it's reforming the entire structure in the government and all of that, or maybe we are starting businesses, right? We are starting new businesses, agriculture, technology, finance, healthcare, and all of that. So that is the building stage, the building exploring. We explore, we build, explore, we build. Like what I'm doing, like looking at what is working, we explore what is working in America, what is working in China, and we are building, right? And he says from that stage, and every nation, this is a studies that he did looking at 21 civilizations, nations that have risen and fell. Like what happened? How did they rise and how did they fall? That is the whole concept of the book. It's huge. So this happens, I think, but he was writing this to teach those in the business sector, like what to know, what to look out for when you're building your company. Where do you find yourself so that you can make adjustments? But he was really talking about nations rising and falling and what we can learn. So from the builder explorer stage, I'll skip the synergy. We'll come back to that. We move to the administrator. So when we build, now we start putting structures together, right? We start putting some structure. Okay, before you come into this company, you have to meet maybe the head of director, you have to meet this, you have all of that start coming into place. So at that stage, you start seeing that structure is forming, administrator stage. From there, we move to bureaucrats. Now it is that structure where before you meet the CEO, he's in the top floor. You have to write petitions and send before you go meet the CEO. That's the bureaucrat stage. And then from there, we move to the aristocracy. So the aristocrats are those people that are so learned, they are right up there and all of that. They walk around with all kinds of philosophies and theories. And then he says there is a synergist, which we skip. The synergist now comes in to remind the people where they started. Remember, there was a vision as to why we started all of this. Remember, we moved from this place to becoming barbarians and we became explorers and builders. So the synergies come to remind the people. And if you look at America right now, President Trump is coming to say, remember why America started. We have to make this nation great. So he's that leader that is kind of a synergist. He's not casting a new vision. He's reminding the people, make America great again. So this thing works around even in nations. Some people act this out and based on how they feel intuitively, but it has been scripted, right? So reading this book, I look at the American democracy and American political system. I understand what is happening. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my whole thing is this structure that I just outlined from Robert Miller's book, from Lawrence Miller, is to help us understand that we need visionary leaders right now in Cameroon. You might not even be the one that is aspiring to become president. I might not desire to become president, but you can lay a foundation that inspire future presidents.
Oh,
that is what I'm looking at. Are you understanding?
yeah.
That we lay a firm foundation that not only inspire presidents, inspire ministers, the next generation of ministers. A vision that inspires every individual Cameroonian that rises up and say, I want to do something with my life. Where do I start? Like, okay, there is a compass that we came and look at everything and said, nothing is working here. And we came up with a structure that every Cameroonian growing up with a dream has something to fall back on or something that can help guide them to their destiny.
Wow, just incredible. In fact, listening to you talk, I was having chills myself. Like just, I was having chills. Like, do you ever plan to run for office someday or something like that? That's just a breakout question, please.
Yeah, the thing is, I've talked about this with my wife. She's my best friend.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this extensively, and I told her I don't really desire to be president. I don't see leadership as a trophy.
Mm.
I see leadership as responsibility. I had to think really hard to rise up, write this book, and have my voice be heard. I never had this kind of inspiration, but I looked at the ideas that many were pushing, especially with the Ambazonia idea and our young people dying and all of that. It grieves me. I'm like, this is a city I grew from. I mean, like, I'm a product of Cameroon, right? I was born and raised in Bamenda. Seeing my people struggle this way, that is what pushed me to step up and say, start doing something, start reading. Like, you need to put a whole section in your library just to solve this problem, right? And that was the beginning of the journey. Like, okay, what I have here was on business and religion and all of that, but you need to stack up your library to address this problem. So to answer your question, Destiny, if the call to help take Cameroon to the next level presents itself, or if there is something that I can do, I would love to step up. But if I can inspire the people that will do that, that would be amazing as well. I see myself more as inspiring the next president. I see myself more as inspiring the next generation of Cameroonians. And if that president will be me or be someone that I inspire, they should understand that leadership is a duty, responsibility. It's not a trophy. It's not like when you become president, you say, I've won. No, it's hard work. It's
Okay.
pain. You're carrying the burden of the nation on your shoulder. You're the one to hold the torch and let other people's light shine.
Mm.
You are not the focus of attention.
Mm.
You are there so that you can inspire other people, your nation, or the citizens of that nation to become great, to achieve their dreams. That is because if this mindset of leadership is not well ingrained, when somebody say, I want to lead, people will look at you and think, oh, because you want to gain something from this position. Yeah. So you should be fine not being president and then step back and have other people become president because you inspire them. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if I can look back at a nation that every young Cameroonian, look at the dreams you have and the aspirations you have. If you can take this podcast to the next level, take your job to the next level, take your company, your foundation to the next level, and let's say I played a part to inspire you to be that. That is the Cameroon dream. That is the inspiration. That is the vision. That is what we should be doing. It's not about the position. It's about the change that we impact through whatever position you occupy in the nation.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hopefully, I'm hoping next week I'm going to be hosting one of the presidential candidates. I think the youngest presidential candidate. So I hope I'll be hosting him to get his own ideas and maybe have a connection with you or something. And so let me get into the last question. We have about 7 minutes more to go. I just want to get to the last question so we can round up. I read this book by the prime is that the leader of Dubai, Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The book is about his vision, challenges in the race of excellence. He was simply trying to give sell his vision for Dubai, what he did for Dubai to become what it is today. And one remarkable thing I noted about his book, he said, the economy of every nation is the backbone of that nation. If the economy is not strong, even the politics will be in array, the security system will be in array. And while you were doing the introduction of your book, you talk about some industries in which you would want Cameroon to focus on if they have to fast track their process to development. Just in another 3 to 5 minutes, I just want you to give, I'm really interested in that. I just want you to give a rundown of those industries you meant and how you think we can go about the process.
Yeah. The 7 key industries are agriculture, technology, finance, real estate and construction, renewable energy, healthcare, the media and entertainment, finance. So these are the industries that are making the most millionaires.
Mm.
And they have the potential to elevate developing nations like ours, or progressive nations like ours. So with these industries, if you're thriving in any of these industries, there's a high chance for you to partner with other developed nations because you can network and share ideas. They can be able to outsource even to our nation, just like what America is doing with China. So there is a high potential for growth in this. Now, Destiny, this is the vision. But if you look at our people, like what I said, are we ready? I was reading and looking at the autobiography of someone like Shaka Zulu, because when you look at most Africans' destiny, we are tempted to think our history started during colonization. Like when we were colonized, this is how we define ourselves everywhere we go around the world. You see what I'm saying? I'm an optimist. I'm a realist, right? I always find the most inspiring stories, even about my own life, about my parents, about my great grandparents. You see what I'm saying? If I can't find it with my parents, I go to my great grandparents. I say maybe I'll lean on them. If I can't find that, I go back, as way back, right? I come from the lineage of queens and kings, right? From Mancon. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but my biological father was not that wealthy. But every day he woke up, he would tell me the stories of my grandmother, tell me the stories of my grandfather, who they were, tell me the stories of his elder brother. Like my family chose where Bamenda town will be today.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And they're like, this is where the city will be. You see what I'm saying? And this is what I want to help our people understand. We have to go past trying to draw inspiration from colonialism. Let's go back to the time of Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa. These are great African heroes. In Bell and Aqua in Cameroon. Let's go back to our heroes before colonization. And every young Cameroonian, I'm saying this especially to future presidents, go read the autobiography of Shaka Zulu. Because this was someone that merged tribes and have a unified kingdom in South Africa. The Zulu people, powerful people. When we hear of rap music, it came from them. Rap came from the Zulus in South Africa. And these are people that have inspired the world before colonization. Are you tracking? So I go back and I draw from their spirit because I've exhausted my family. So I'm going into the archives of like the African heroes that came before us. And then I'm drawing inspiration. I sit around the table and I have these people and I look at them in my quiet time and I discuss with these great leaders. I'm like, today, sir, if you had to build Africa, build Cameroon, what will you do? And I just have their spirits feed me. I'm not like saying I'm living with dead people, but I'm just helping you understand how I think, I process things. That is, I read their biography and I let their message direct me. Okay. Or give me inspiration. So this is my inspiration. Like, we are so fragmented in Cameroon, 250 ethnic groups, that is chaos. This is the time for Cameroonians to say, we have to set aside our differences when it comes to the languages that we have and look for what unifies us. If the Douala language is the language that can unify all the tribes, we study that language and have kind of a language that directs the nation. It's too much. Tribalism breeds division. And all these little tribalism comes from tribes. Because sometimes you see we are fighting tribalism, but we forget that it comes from tribes.
From the tribes. Oh, okay, Mr. Roland. I'm really excited about this conversation, but we have limited time. We just have under 1 minute to go, and I just want you to give your last remarks. especially concerning your book, is it on Amazon, or is there any particular way in Cameroon where we can, call to buy because I really like to have a copy, just under 30 minutes?
Yes, 30 seconds or
Yeah,
less.
30
Okay,
seconds.
yes. So we have the book is on Amazon, so you can buy it worldwide. It's
Okay.
on Amazon. Uh, we haven't had a place in Cameroon right now to
Mm,
print it out. I'm thinking of making the PDF available
mm,
as well, so
yeah.
that people can even just buy, download on their iPad or
Mm,
computers. The most important thing is that they have access to it. So it
okay.
was written in both French and English.
Mm,
Uh, so the first section is in English. The second section is in French. We have another copy. The first section is in French. The second section is in English. So it goes both ways. So I think so yeah, so you can buy it on Amazon. But if you are in the United States or in Europe, you can place a copy directly on our website. I think the CameroonDream.com.
oh.
You can place a copy in there and we will ship it to you, a signed copy. So I think for now, that those are the venues where you can access the book.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much for this great program. I'm sorry we have to end here, but I'm looking for further collaborations with you. Maybe we can have this talk again. So, thank you very much for your insight. It was very intelligent, and I hope to, to get